Do you think you know what's going on within the Vancouver real estate market? There's been some shocking data that has just come out for the month of October, and I'm going to be diving into all of it for this month's market review for October. I am Kyle Mark, your Vancouver real estate expert, and whether you're looking to buy, sell, invest, or relocate to my beautiful city of Vancouver, I have all the information to partner with you to make sure that you have real estate success in your journey. All my information is in the description below, so make sure you get in touch with me. I'm super easy to get a hold of, and I am here to help. So let's jump into one of the numbers that jumped off the page immediately when I looked at the data, and that was the amount of sales. The sales across the board of Greater Vancouver came in at just 1,996, which is very, very low. And to put that in perspective, that is 29.5% lower than the 10-year average. And what we've seen, we know here in Vancouver that there's always been this inventory crunch, but for the bulk of the year, for 2023, we have seen high sales with low inventory, which has continued to put upward pressure on pricing. But we've started to see a trend here with sales starting to come down, and this was a big wake-up call for the month of October. In terms of inventory, there was 4,664 homes that came to market, which represented a 15% surge year over year. But in terms of total home count, that's just a marginal increase year to year in terms of what is available across the board of Greater Vancouver. When we talk about total home count, there were 11,599 units available, which marks just a slight marginal increase year to year from October of 2022. When we talk about current benchmark pricing across the board of Greater Vancouver, across all categories, townhomes, condos, and detached, we're sitting at $1.196 million, which represents just over a 4% increase year to year from October and a 0.6% increase from September. So even though we've seen a big drop in terms of sales, pricing, as you can see, year to year has held firm, but I do believe over the next coming months, if you are diligent, you are going to be able to get some good value because homes are sitting on market. Days on market are definitely increasing. So stick around. We're going to get into some more data to help you really find those deals over the next winter months. When we look at boots on the ground, what's happening within the market and what are the type of conversations I'm having with my clients, I know that buyers are definitely out there for blood. They are sensing somewhat of a change in the marketplace, and they are really wanting to hammer sellers on price points, but sellers are still stuck in the early point of 2023 where they're holding on to these evaluations that don't really exist anymore. Especially if you've had homes that have been sitting on market, the lack of buyers out there is really starting to hamper the marketplace. And that's why, and personally what I've been seeing is A, getting lowball offers on listings, or B, having buyers out there that are wanting to make those lowball offers that don't exist. So when you have people on both sides of the ledger, it's been a little bit more difficult trying to put deals together. And what I've also find for myself with my pipeline, a lot of people have put their home buying or home selling, especially on the home sell side, into the new year to see what is going to happen in terms of rates and with the flip of the calendar year. But something that I want to keep in mind for buyers out here specifically, especially in this marketplace, people say, hey, why should I buy now? Rates are so extremely high. I want to wait. My question to you, would you rather have a higher monthly cost but have a property at a lower rate with no competition, where in a couple years you could refinance or just have a shorter fixed 2 to 3 year fixed mortgage where you can always renegotiate after your term? Or do you want to wait for rates to come down and more competition to come into the marketplace where you could be paying hundreds of thousands of dollars more if you're looking in the detached realm with no conditions, where you're not in control of the scenario anymore? So there are always advantages no matter what the market is. For a buyer, I think this is a fantastic time. If you can be patient and you know what you want, you can be completely in control of the marketplace. For a first-time buyer, this is perfect. For some buyers, there are a lot of nerves in place, and especially in a competitive marketplace, it's not well suited for first-time buyers. So if you're a first-time buyer, this is a great position to get in. Make sure you pair yourself with a mortgage broker that understands the market, that can strategize with you so that you don't have to go a full pull with a 5-year fixed, where you can get into something where you can control the narrative, the price point, the conditions, and then in a couple of years you can refinance. On the opposite side of the ledger, you say, well, Kyle, if it's the best time to buy, why should I sell? I'm not selling right now. I'm going to wait until the next year. Because we've seen the lack of inventory and lack of good inventory, if you are priced properly, your product will still move. As we get into those winter months, less people will want to sell. So if you have a good product, you are really going to stand out. And there are also a lot of buyers that are wanting to get into the marketplace. So if you have a good product, it will really stand out. And we also know with the recent hold on rates that property pricing does get a little bit of a jump start when we know that the Bank of Canada is holding things firm. So that's just some food for thought. No matter where you are within the calendar, like I said, it's specific to all your needs. I couldn't say and sit here, well, it's the best time to buy now or the best time to sell now. It's really specific on your long-term goals, and it's very, very specific as a seller what kind of property you have. If you have a property that's older, has a strange floor plan, is maybe not in the desirable area, it would be a slog right now and it wouldn't be a smart time for you to sell. But if you have a good product, it doesn't matter. Your property will always move if it's priced properly. So let's dive a little bit deeper into Vancouver East and Vancouver West specifically to see what all three categories are doing between these two sub areas. As we get into Vancouver East, I'm going to have the data up on the screen for you to reference. We can see that there were 510 detached listings, 78 sales with a benchmark price of $1.878 million. As you look at the year to year, listings were up by 3%, sales were up by 41%, and the benchmark price for detached homes were up almost double digits, 9.2% in Vancouver East. When we drop down into the condo market, we see that there were 420 listings, 101 sales with a benchmark price of $715,000. And we can see that year over year, listings were up by 3.2%. Sales were down by 1.9%, and the benchmark price was up 6.2% from 2022. The townhouses finally, 87 listings, 25 sales with a benchmark price of $1.118 million for 2023. And when we go to year over year, we can see that listings were down by 10.3%, sales up by a whopping 177.8%. But keep in mind, because the sales data that's getting pulled from is very, very small, just a couple sales here or there can have a huge dynamic on price. So it's not like the townhouse market all of a sudden caught on fire. As you can see, there were just 25 sales across Vancouver East. So just preface that number. It's not this huge mind-blowing epiphany here. So just do keep that in mind. But the benchmark price for townhomes across Vancouver East went up 10.1% from 2022. So depending on what board you are looking at, there's obviously going to be deviations. Yes, we saw that on average sales were way down across the board, but when we look specifically at Vancouver East has done pretty well. Sales haven't seen a massive drop off, and pricing has stayed quite strong, especially on the detached market, which has seen almost double-digit returns. So I know I've prefaced this in some of my other videos, but it all comes down to where you invest your money. Obviously, the closer you are to downtown Vancouver, you're going to insulate your property purchase a lot better. So that's why I always say try to purchase property as close as you can to the city center, because you're not going to see these huge deviations, and property is still going to be a lot more liquid, and pricing is going to hold a lot more firm once you are in areas such as North Vancouver, Vancouver East, Vancouver West, West Vancouver, downtown, things of that nature. So speaking of Vancouver West, let's get into the numbers and let's see what's happened on Vancouver's west side. We can see that the detached homes, there were 618 listings, 71 sales with a benchmark price of $3.436 million. Sales were down 4.1%, listings down 7.6%. But most importantly, pricing was up 6.8% year over year from October 22 to 23. Condos, 1,647 listings. There were 231 sales with a benchmark price of $851,000. Year to year change, listings up by 7.8%, sales down 1.3%, and benchmark pricing up 4.3%. From 2022. Finally, as we get into townhomes, there were 241 listings available, 41 sales with a benchmark price of $1.481 million. Year to year, we can see that listings were up 6.6%, sales up by 64%, and the benchmark price up by 1.1% from 2022. So where do we go moving forward? As I said off the top, yes, sales are down big time. And depending on where you're looking at, there are definitely going to be some opportunities out there. As you can see with Vancouver East and Vancouver West, they have performed quite well, especially the Vancouver East side. It's a very desirable and has been very desirable for a long time across all three categories. But if you can be patient, and I've said this already before, and diligent across these winter months, you can get yourself a good product. So make sure that you book that call with me in the description to go over a game plan so that we can save you a lot of money and get you into your dream home. We've also seen a lot of changes from the provincial level, changes to the short-term rental rules and regulations, as well as a mass rezoning from the province, increasing density on regular residential lots. What is that going to do? I believe that, it will improve pricing for detached properties, especially bigger ones. You can offer more FSR, which is floor space ratio. That's what developers want. They want a high amount of FSR. The bigger the land, the bigger the build, essentially. And as a lot of projects are sold by square foot, dollar per square foot, the larger the home, you're going to make more money. So it's going to be very interesting to start getting the data pulled in and to see how developers are going to take the news. Is it even going to be worthwhile to put 4, 5, or 6 homes within one lot? It's going to be an experiment. I think it's a lot of lip service from the province trying to deliver a solution. From what I've heard from developers, once you start getting over 4 units on one lot, it's not really advantageous or that profitable for them. So we'll have to see how this is going to affect the detached market. In terms of inventory, we want to see as much as possible onto the marketplace, but we're still years away from seeing any of these changes come into effect, because by the time you get your permits, get your trades, things of that nature, these projects are going to be a year, 2 years down the road. I also know that with the rates and with what the Bank of Canada is doing, there is still a lot of financial stress. There's a lot of people out there who have mortgage renewals that are very stressed out next year. But hopefully, from what I've been reading, we already know that all the premiers across the country are asking the federal government to stop increasing rates. There's been calls to, drop these rates to help make sure that there's not a huge crisis on our hands. So I do believe with the amount of pressure with these mortgage renewals that there's going to be some relief sooner than later in terms of these rate drops. I don't think they're going to drop down as fast as they went up, but if you can just continue to budget, continue to pinch your pennies if you're a homeowner on a variable, or if you know that you're going to have to renew your mortgage, just be smart with your money over the next couple months. Maybe you don't do Christmas presents, or maybe you do a little bit less under the Christmas tree, but you got to think big picture. Don't get into a state of frenzy where you feel paralyzed by what's going on around you. All those things, those factors, what the Bank of Canada does, what the federal government does, is completely outside of your control. So have that mindset approach that you are controlled with what you do within your life, and things that you can do is budget, maybe pick up a little bit more work on the side, or whatever that looks like, to help situate yourself either to hold onto your property or save to get into a property. But the biggest thing is partnering with someone who knows what they're doing. My information is in the description below, so book a strategy call with me. I can definitely help you if you have some fears in the marketplace, if you feel like you have to sell, or you want to make some sort of move within the Vancouver market. I am here for you to protect you and help you every step of the way. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you on the next one.